Picture this. You're eating dinner, you glance down, and there they are. Those big pleading eyes staring up at you like they haven't eaten in a week. You think, one little bite won't hurt. Hi, I'm Dr. Tony Lee. I've spent more than 10 years as a practicing veterinarian, and I need to tell you something that might be hard to hear. Sometimes that one little bite absolutely can hurt. In some cases, it can do far worse than that. Here's the thing about pet parents. We show love through food. It's instinct. But we forget that a dog's body and a human body are built on completely different chemistry. Foods we eat casually, every single day without a second thought, can be quietly poisonous, even deadly, to the dog sitting right next to us. Every single week, I see dogs come through my clinic fighting for their lives, not because anyone was careless or cruel, but because a loving owner had no idea the snack they shared was dangerous. But I don't want you to walk away from this video scared. I want you to walk away armed. So settle in, maybe call your dog over for a cuddle while we talk, and let's get into it. And if this kind of information matters to you, do me a favor and subscribe. It genuinely helps this channel keep making content that keeps dogs safe. Peanut butter has a reputation as the ultimate dog treat. We hide pills in it, we stuff it into puzzle toys, we use it as the universal bribe, and plain natural peanut butter really is fine for dogs in moderation. The danger isn't the peanuts. It's something hiding inside a lot of modern jars, an artificial sweetener called xylitol. Manufacturers have gotten sneaky with labeling too. Xylitol doesn't always say xylitol anymore. Sometimes it's listed as birch sugar or birch bark extract. It shows up in sugar-free peanut butter, sugar-free gum, breath mints, and a growing number of diet-baked goods. Here's why it's so dangerous. In a human body, xylitol is processed as a harmless, low-calorie sweetener. In a dog's body, the pancreas can't tell the difference between xylitol and real sugar, so it panics and releases a massive flood of insulin. That insulin surge crashes the dog's blood sugar to dangerously low levels, sometimes within 10 to 60 minutes of ingestion. What follows can be seizures, total collapse, and rapid liver failure. I'll never forget a case where an owner sprinted into my clinic with her golden retriever, absolutely frantic, because he'd chewed through a single pack of sugar-free gum that had fallen out of her purse and onto the floor. We caught it in time and he pulled through, but it was one of the closest calls I've seen, and it came down to minutes. My advice, become an obsessive label reader. Anything marked sugar-free or diet goes straight back on the shelf when you're buying for your dog. The ingredient list on safe peanut butter should read almost like a recipe with one ingredient: peanuts, maybe a pinch of salt, nothing else. And as boring as it sounds, keep purses zipped and off the floor. That's genuinely how a lot of these poisonings happen. Let's talk about one of the strangest and scariest cases in all of veterinary medicine: grapes and raisins, and that includes Zante currants and sultanas hiding in baked goods. For decades, this was a total mystery to vets. We knew grapes could trigger sudden, catastrophic kidney failure in dogs. We just didn't know why. Recent research has finally given us a strong lead. A compound inside the grape called tartaric acid appears to be the culprit. What makes this one uniquely terrifying is that toxicity here isn't dose-dependent the way it is with most poisons. A massive Great Dane could eat 2 or 3 grapes and go into kidney failure. Meanwhile, a 5-pound Chihuahua could eat 5 grapes and show no symptoms at all. We genuinely don't fully understand why some dogs are so much more sensitive than others, which means every grape is a gamble with your dog's kidneys. And remember, raisins are simply dehydrated grapes, which means the toxic compounds are actually more concentrated, not less. Watch for raisins hiding in places you wouldn't expect: oatmeal cookies, granola bars, bagels, trail mix, even some breads. If your dog eats a grape or raisin, do not adopt a wait-and-see approach. Symptoms like vomiting, unusual thirst, or lethargy can take 12 to 24 hours to appear, and by the time they do, kidney damage is often already irreversible. Call your vet or an emergency animal poison line immediately, even if your dog seems perfectly fine in the moment. This is the one I get asked about constantly. Dr. Tony, I've got leftover roast chicken with a little garlic on it. Surely a small piece is fine. I understand the instinct, but here's the problem. Onions, garlic, leeks, and chives all contain a compound called N-propyl disulfide, and it's toxic to dogs in any form: raw, cooked, powdered, or even scraped off and removed from the dish. Cooking does not neutralize it. When a dog ingests this compound, it causes oxidative damage to their red blood cells. Think of it like rust slowly forming on metal. The cells become brittle and eventually rupture. Once enough red blood cells burst, your dog's body loses its ability to carry oxygen efficiently, and that leads to severe, potentially life-threatening anemia. What makes this one especially sneaky is the delay. A dog might eat an onion ring or a lick of garlic seasoned gravy on a Monday, and you might not see the warning signs: pale gums, rapid breathing, sudden exhaustion until Thursday or Friday. By then, it's easy to miss the connection entirely. So the rule is simple: avoid heavily seasoned table scraps, broths, and soups. Even that gravy packet people pour over dry kibble to make it more appealing usually contains onion or garlic powder. Check the label. If you want to share meat with your dog, keep it plain, unseasoned, and simple. I'm grouping these two together because they tend to show up at the exact same events: holidays, backyard barbecues, big family gatherings. First, fatty trimmings and cooked bones. Dogs love fat, but their digestive systems aren't built to process a sudden overload of it. When a dog eats bacon, sausage, or the fat trimmed off a steak, it puts enormous strain on the pancreas, the organ responsible for producing digestive enzymes. Overworked and inflamed, it can start literally digesting its own tissue, a condition called pancreatitis. It's excruciatingly painful, causes severe vomiting, and often lands a dog in the hospital for days on IV fluids. And a quick but critical note on cooked bones from steaks or pork chops: never feed them, ever. Cooking dries a bone out, and a dried bone doesn't crack cleanly, it splinters like glass. Those shards can puncture a dog's stomach or intestines from the inside. Finally, macadamia nuts. They're a staple in holiday cookies and festive treats, but for dogs, they contain a toxin that attacks the nervous system. Within about 12 hours of ingestion, a dog will typically start vomiting, spike a fever, and develop weakness or even temporary paralysis in their hind legs, sometimes to the point they can't stand up at all. The good news is that with prompt veterinary treatment, this one is rarely fatal, but it is an absolute terror to witness as a pet owner, and it demands an immediate vet visit. Take a breath. I know that's a lot of frightening information back to back, but the goal here was never to make you anxious. It was to make you prepared. And there are plenty of wonderful, safe foods you can share with your dog without any of this risk. Plain, raw baby carrots are fantastic for dental health. Apple slices, with the core and seeds removed, make a great naturally sweet treat. Plain green beans are a low-calorie snack that most dogs genuinely love. None of these carry the hidden dangers we just talked about, so feel free to share freely. So what do you actually do if your dog gets into something they shouldn't have? First, do not panic, and do not try to induce vomiting on your own unless a veterinary professional specifically walks you through how. Pouring random amounts of hydrogen peroxide down your dog's throat can burn the esophagus and make an already dangerous situation worse. Instead, do this one thing right now, before you close this video. Save the number for the ASPCA Animal Poison Control Center in your phone. It's 8884-264-435. Write it on a sticky note and put it on your fridge too, just in case your phone isn't handy. If your dog eats something toxic, call them, or your local emergency vet immediately. Be ready to tell them exactly what your dog ate, roughly how much, and your dog's approximate weight. That information helps them guide you fast. If you made it this far in the video, that tells me something about you. You care deeply about your dog, and you're willing to put in the work to keep them safe. That's exactly what this channel is here for. If this was helpful, hit like, subscribe, and send it to another dog owner who needs to hear it. And I'd love to know, drop a comment below and tell me, what's a healthy human food your dog goes absolutely wild for? I'll be reading through them and replying. I'm Dr. Tony Lee. Thank you for watching, and remember, pay attention, ask questions, and love your pets. I'll see you in the next one.